AI Weekly Blitz. It is Monday, March 23rd, and I'm here with Julie Koehrer. Hi, Julie.
Good morning, Jason Padgett. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm good. Can't complain. Definitely feeling behind in AI news as, per our conversation. So I'm glad we have these.
Well, me too, because didn't the Greater Lafayette Commerce there in Lafayette have a little shindig last Thursday around AI?
They did. I unfortunately missed it. I was planning on going and I had a work project that backed me up and then I had an appointment. So I was only going to be able to make like 15 minutes. So I feel bad because I know Brian and Colin, you know, good guys. So
Yeah, well, I'm going to have them as a guest more often. I think they were really great guests. And it's lucky for you that the audience just absolutely loves your bubbly personality because we might have to like penalize you for poor reporting, not
I
showing
know.
up.
I know. Well, because the last time we talked too, you and I talked about me utilizing some of the accounts, that you have. You were offering to share some of that with me, and haven't even had a chance to do that. But that's balancing, personal life stuff too, right? Trying to get it together. But we're just spinning a bunch of plates right now.
And that is an awesome point because people out there should know that you and I do not get paid at all for this. We just do this like as a hobby. So if they like and follow and share the show and like spread the message, that actually helps us out. And maybe someday we could actually monetize it enough to pay for the technology that it takes to produce it. That's my goal.
I think that's a great goal. And I know you just talked about the commerce. So I did just want to take a second because between our conversations and I was speaking with Michael Berger, who is, the new CEO over at the Commerce, and he and I are kind of experiencing some similar, aging parent stuff. And I went to him because he's such a business guy, but I was talking about dealing with these facilities and being an advocate and how on earth can we make things better, either between use of AI or having like a doula for elderly people. Like something is missing. I don't know what it is, like that's not where my brain is. My brain just goes, there is something massively missing in this industry. And if we could pinpoint it and find the right people to come up with a solution, I think there's a whole new business world out there.
I love it. Elderly doulas for the elderly, empowered by AI. And the company I work for now, Citizen AI, helps people navigate wraparound services. So it would be the awesome tool for those doulas to make use of when they're looking around for navigating resources.
Well, and I think about, so the communication piece is such a frustration point for me as the advocate who's not like in state. If there was an AI that could send me like the immediate updates of things that are happening, or even medication, or if she participated or not, like if I could get that stuff instantaneous to my phone, that would be such a brain alleviator, you know what I mean? Like my brain space would be able to open up a bit because I'm not worried about, okay, well, I didn't hear from this person today. Now I got to call that person. Now I got to do this. If there was an AI that existed that could fill that gap, that would be like amazing.
That's a great idea, Julie.
Yeah. Yeah. Take that one to your work and see, see what you all can figure out. Cause I think that would be incredible.
You like people should listen to this podcast just for startup ideas. You have a robotics startup company that like does like all the stuff that we don't want humans doing, like bathing us and cleaning us up after we use the bathroom,
Yeah.
when we're not capable of doing those things for ourselves. The stuff that we would love a robot to replace, and now you've got kind of a liaison between elderly care facilities and the families and real time updates on what's going on with your loved one in that facility.
Man, I really do think that would be, if I could start with one, it would be that, because for all of the people in my life that I've talked to right now that are dealing with the same thing, that is like one of the biggest things, right? Because you don't have you also got to work, and some people also have kids, all of that life stuff is happening, but you also want to be in the know of your family members. So I think that would just be such a game changer if we could have that instant connection.
I love it. The
Yeah,
problem, the barrier to get across is the HIPAA stuff, which is what makes it difficult to build AI apps that are HIPAA compliant.
interesting.
Because I would say, even with management teams, I have used like ChatGPT, where you just basically have a chat, like a text message type chat between a facility or an employee and your ChatGPT. Could do that very easily if you had someone in the facility who was willing, if you're just wanting to hack it, if you had someone in the facility who was just willing to type into that chat once in a while, like, here's what's going on with your mom, that would work, but it would be so HIPAA non compliant because neither ChatGPT nor Anthropic have HIPAA compliant software at this point in time.
Oh, interesting. I'm actually kind of surprised that hear that Anthropic doesn't even have a HIPAA compliant version.
So was I. I actually got them on the phone once to
Huh?
look at using it in a healthcare business. I was like, "Oh, really? You don't have?" I think they're working on it. It's on their radar. So they have. Anthropic has like Anthropic Health, and ChatGPT has ChatGPT Health, which is more or less the first step of like just having a personal health assistant inside your account that's kind of helping you navigate things, and people have mixed feelings on that. But I think the next step is the enterprise level, or the actual business deployment level, where it's HIPAA compliant. And if you want your records to be accessible, and you want your medical facilities to report to your to or I mean, essentially what you do is have an API so that their reports that they put in their system already then get dumped into your Anthropic or OpenAI account, and you would get real time updates.
Yeah. I like the idea of it because even, I called like the hospital the other day because I want to track down some medical records since October. And that's a whole process, right? Like, it's a whole thing. And I probably have to be in person. Like, the easiest way would be for me to be in person. And then I have to bring like the POA paperwork and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, I got time for all of that. Just, I don't know, cut out the middleman somewhere. But I also understand there's legalities and HIPAA and all that, but also they make it so difficult when you're just trying to take care of a loved one. Like, can't we simplify it somewhere? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree 100% on the customer service front across the board. Like, I would rather call an organization. Best case scenario, you call the license branch and a human being answers the phone and talks to you, right? But I would much rather, if that's not possible, an AI answer the phone and me be able to have a real time conversation than, if you want this, press this. Now wait through all the rest of the options. If you want this, press this. Like, I would, that to me is like bottom of the barrel experience. I would much rather talk to an AI that I could actually try to get to do what I wanted to do and get the answer I was looking for in a real conversation.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that you bring up those AI prompts because I was with Bree Madron and we were trying to handle something and I had to call, a specific place, right? And it was like, oh my gosh, the prompting and the prompting. And then anytime it heard like a background noise, it's like, I'm sorry, what was that? That was not on the menu. And you'd have to like go through it all again. And I'm like, this is the stuff that's insane. I can't with that. Is there, that has to be more advanced by now, I would think, but lived it. It was just like a week ago.
I mean, they are advancing things all the time. So I Notebook LM will do PowerPoints now, and you can actually download the like customized PowerPoint as a PowerPoint or Google Slides, and then edit it. And so, like, I think 6 months ago when you and I were talking, all I could get ChatGPT to do was create like blank PowerPoint slides with the words on it, and then you had to go over to the little like, create my slides designer in PowerPoint and go with their generic uh, suggestions. But now you can completely customize it around your brand. You can download it. You can edit them all. I mean, it's all advancing quickly. Keep an eye on 11 Labs for the voice stuff because they're an amazing company.
Okay, interesting. It's just interesting because it feels like it's advancing so quickly, but then also people's willingness to like keep up with that advancement is a little behind, right? So it's like, I know there's better than this out there as I'm yelling at the phone because it's, not letting me talk to a human.
Well, and if you look at that's one of the biggest problems I think we have in the United States is that of the developed nations, we are the most resistant to artificial intelligence as a culture and a country. So if you're a company who's looking to invest in AI voice for customer service, and yet you're hearing on the news that 70% of Americans are skeptical of AI and don't like AI, man, that becomes a risky investment to even step up your game if you've started to explore it and pay for something that's much more functional, but that costs a lot more if people are going to hate it anyway once they figure out it's AI.
Interesting. I do also know that ChatGPT at least has launched advertising on their free version.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
So tell me. I'm not. I'm going to be a bit of a snob. I don't use the free versions much anymore. But tell me what it's like.
Well, I mean, it just serves an ad based on essentially what you're searching, right? So I think the search the other day was wrestling related, Billy Corgan related. My bad. So then, searching if he was still connected to the wrestling world, which he is, of course. But then you get fed ads, based on wrestling interest.
How interesting. How disruptive was it?
I mean, not really. So here's what's interesting, because there's also research out there. I saw this article the other day that people are much more willing to put up with ads in a free space than if they were in a paid space. So anybody, like Netflix, right, had started launching commercials on their free version. And as somebody that doesn't want to pay more money to be ad free, I'm like, oh, okay. So, I think it's going to be per person, but overall, the statistic is that somebody who's willing to tolerate it because it's free is going to be fine with it, right? Just like anything that's free has advertisements attached, even radio, right? So it's like, yeah.
Well,
But if it's free,
it's all how you do it too. Like the commercial ads in Amazon, if you don't want to pay for Prime, I do find annoying because they last so long. And yet a pop up on Facebook or a pop up on somewhere where I am where I could just kind of click around it or not be bothered by it. If I'm getting something for free, I don't mind that at all. Then again, there's the links that you follow to like a news, like a magazine journal article, and it just has boom, 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 and you have to keep hitting the like. I get out of that immediately. First, I'm
yeah.
afraid it's probably like putting a bunch of cookies into my computer, and second, I will not tolerate having to close a bunch of boxes in order to read one single article.
Yeah, and that's funny. I am the same way. If it is unintrusive, I'm like, okay, whatever, get past it. But those situations, I'm like, let me out now, and I will get out of the site and never go back.
I hope you're listening, Fiji, because if you do that in ChatGPT, people are gonna jump ship. So,
but it's also interesting because it does prove advertising works. It has its place. It will exist forever and ever and ever. And, marketing will never die, because if people don't know who you are, business doesn't matter.
Well, here is what's interesting. So, within the last week, OpenAI called pretty much a code red. Fiji refused to call. Fiji Simo is their director, their CEO of product development, and so they called a big company mission because I think a year ago, like this was enterprise level adoption of ChatGPT or OpenAI, and this was Anthropic, and now it's like this. Like Anthropic is exploding in enterprise adoption, especially since the Department of War pissed everyone off and they felt that it was unfair the way that they were treating them. And then Sam came out and was like, "Yeah, that's unfair," and then signed a contract the next day for OpenAI that said basically the same thing. So people left OpenAI over that and went to Anthropic. Like Anthropic is just killing it right now, and the mandate at OpenAI right now is to shift all focus to enterprise and codex and code and agentic level AI. So they may even there is talk of them evacuating the idea of doing ads and just focusing on how do we get businesses to sign up.
Interesting.
Because up till now, I've always said like they're trying to get the consumer. They want the ads money. And then Anthropic's going more for the enterprise, but now they seem to be competing for both. I don't know. They can't really seem to make up their mind on what they want to do, whether they want to do Sora or this or that. I still love OpenAI for image generation personally, but that's about the only thing I use it for. I do not like how verbose it is or how much it tells me what I want to hear.
Yeah. Well, I also had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was asking me specifically about, because I know you mentioned Soros. So she was talking to me specifically about how now on her Apple Music, she'll get served AI music. And she's like, "How do you feel about that?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't like it." But I also, my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that it does come kind of watermarked, like identified as AI music. But now it's just interesting because who gets credit for that? Because humans still use programs like Soros, right, to create the music. Yes? No?
Suno, yeah, Sora is a video, but Suno is the music app I think that you're referring to. And here's where my confusion lies, right? If you go see the Steve Miller Band back in the day live, you would be like, his voice is really not that good, because the difference between a Steve Miller Band album that has been studio produced and completely voiceovered and everything else, and Steve Miller as a performer, like that's totally technologically enhanced. So what we now draw the line in the sand, there still has to be like a shitty performer who is enhanced by technology in order for us to like it. It can't just be the technology generating this stuff.
Well, that's really interesting. Because I know that I've seen there are specific bands like Shinedown that I've seen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm blown away because they sound just as good live as the recording. So that's an interesting perspective and a point. However, what do you do? There's not a performer attached to the AI music, right? So you're not, what does that do? How does that disrupt concert life? How does that disrupt record labels? How does that disrupt the whole music industry?
I'm not sure that it does. So that you still have creators, just like you've had influencers and creators on YouTube. The people who are creating that Suno music are getting the money for it being distributed. So and then this just makes the in person more valuable. I couldn't agree with you more. I remember "Color Me Bad" was at the Grammys and they sung from the microphone, and I was like, "Holy smokes! I cannot believe." Like the acoustics in that building are set up for talking, not for like from that mic, and they sounded crystal clear, absolutely beautiful. So I think the differentiation may be with all this AI stuff is the people who are genuinely talented will still do very well. The people who were mediocrely talented and use technology to enhance themselves, they may be competing with people who are just generating technology produced images, videos, music. So the market becomes a little bit bigger, and being the best is still really good. Being mediocre is a lot more competitive.
Interesting. I mean, I guess we'll see, right? Because if eventually the takeover is mostly people creating music through AI, then there are no concerts to support, right? And that's where a lot of artists make their money is on the tour. So I don't know. It'll just be interesting.
It will be. Have you seen Affleck's new company that he just sold to, I think, Netflix for a few million, 100 million?
No. Hmm.
Ben created an AI company that does everything but the acting, more or less. So you can just stand in front of a green screen with two actors and act everything out, and then AI generates everything else. So basically, Ben's saying, I'm worried about actors' jobs, but I don't really give a damn about the key grips or the sound people or any of the
Mm,
rest of them. Like they're on their own because I've salvaged actors. They're still valuable.
interesting. I mean, just disrupting any industry like that is just going to be impactful, right? We're all going to feel it in some way.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah. Hmm?
The disruption will definitely be huge.
Yeah.
I was listening to a different podcast that I like, um, the AI for Marketing podcast. And if that guy ever listens to this, stop telling people you're the CEO of the company. Like, we get it. Okay. You're going to have a great podcast, but you do not have to remind everyone that you're the CEO of the company every 15 minutes on your podcast. That aside, he was talking about org charts and how those might change as we go forward, and so there's this new term that I keep hearing a lot. When I hear it two or three times out of the right people, I start paying attention to a term, and it's individual contributor. So I think people are getting hired in, and they're kind of a one man or one woman show. They're not really reporting to anybody other than maybe the C-suite. They're not part of marketing. They're not part of sales. They're an individual contributor who leverages AI to do a whole lot of stuff. And every employee is probably in the next 5 years or so going to be managing some type of AI workflow. So you end up having like middle management becomes questionable. You really end up with like every employee is somewhat of a portfolio manager, is the best way to probably describe it. You're more of like an air traffic controller of these technologies. And then you probably have like one division leader that's really good with people that oversees all those people.
Interesting.
It will be very interesting.
I know all of it.
The
And it's
conversation.
hard to. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, you please go ahead.
Oh,
You were saying
it's
it's
just
hard.
hard to predict, right? And pinpoint exactly what the change is going to be because there's new stuff happening all the time.
The conversations I think we're not having that concern me. So there's been a lot of conversations around it's not reducing our workload because it's actually re-engaging people in their work and they get excited about it again, and so they're working more with these tools, more hours than they were. There's this whole FOMO idea, like because everything is moving so fast, but I find it's just like you're just re-engaged. I mean, like this podcast, like there's I love working on this podcast, but only because AI does all the stuff that I never wanted to do with a podcast. Like I don't want to edit videos. I don't want to go clip out little clips and produce those to put on. It does. Riverside does all that stuff, which makes this like something I really want to spend time doing, and,
Yeah.
and a whole lot of fun for me, right? And so that that dynamic I think will work itself out. Like people get overly excited about something new and being re-engaged, and then eventually they're like, okay, I'm working 17 hours a day. I need to, I'm either going to get divorced or my kids are not going to know who I am, or I need to balance this out a little bit. What I don't hear is the redistribution of I don't want to say wealth because I'm not coming at it from a social standpoint, but the redistribution of the rewards and the gains that businesses are getting. Like, how is that going to trickle down to the human beings who stay on?
That's a magical question because I don't see that happening unless it's regulated in some way, shape, or form.
I don't hear those conversations at all.
Yeah.
The offers never
Well,
came.
right.
Nobody said, "Wow, you're doing like twice as much work as you used to be doing. I'm going to give you like a X amount of dollars a month raise." Like that hasn't even come up. It's like, am I making sure that I know what you're doing with your free time? If you're clearing up time, okay, that's the employer side. If I can do my work in 50% of the time, you either need to give me a raise, and then you can be considered. Then you can remandate the other 50% of my time, or like I'm just going to work half the time because I'm still doing what you pay me X number of dollars to do anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I've held that belief before AI. That's been, and you and I have had these conversations, right? Because there's that certain percentage of the workforce that does more work, right? Like there's always those people who pick up all the pieces that others are like, ignoring or whatever. You and I have talked about that a lot. So it's interesting because now those people can do even more. So the distribution of that is been the long time question.
I think what it may move us away from is hourly conversations at all, and even salary, and almost to like output or outcome based conversations. And the example I'll give is a company that I worked for that they went to unlimited PTO, and I was like, that's not a very good idea. Unlimited PTO was created for technology companies that use agile methodologies to do projects, right? So you have a start date and an end date for a project. And the way that those companies do it is you have unlimited PTO if you can get your project done in the window and there's leftover time, right? So if you don't have those kind of like outcome driven, time based segments of what's been going on in work, then just saying we have unlimited PTO, like some people are going to take exorbitant advantage of that, right? And some people won't even do it because they'll just think, I don't know what that means. I'm afraid to ask, right? So, but I think the same thing is going to happen with just work in general. Is we're going to say, okay, for every outcome that generates XYZ KPIs, the members of the team who are involved in that outcome are compensated at this rate. And if you're like the overseer of that group for that project, you get compensated 15% more than everybody else in the group. So something along those lines, I think, is what we're gonna have to move. Consulting's already getting pushed for that. So a lot of consulting clients are like, no way, McKinsey, I'm not paying you that much money. I know you're using AI to do all, so you're not billing me $300 an hour when it now takes you a quarter of the hours to put out the work that it used to take, and I'm still paying you $300 an hour, and you're billing at the old hourly outcome time.
So you're, if I'm understanding correctly, in that case, the consultant would be supposed to charge less because they're now utilizing tools that make their work quicker and more efficient, even though the value of the return is still there.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So you've got to shift to when we return the product that we said we were going to give you, you will pay us X amount of dollars. We're not going to look at how many hours it took on
Right.
anybody's side. It's
Right.
just when we return it, if it's what you asked for, then you owe us X number of dollars.
Yeah. Okay.
And I
Yeah.
could see that happening actually inside of businesses too. Like, okay, you're the chief strategy officer. Your job is to set the quarterly goals with KPIs for every division for our next quarterly meeting. If you deliver on that, then you get paid X number of dollars for the quarter. Right? If you don't deliver on that, then depending on how much of it you delivered on, you get paid less money.
No, it is really interesting. Like my sister works for a company in Texas, and they similarly, the PTO is very similar because even though she's not in the tech industry, it is very project focused. And it's kind of like, as long as you get this and this and this done, that can look however that looks on your timeline. You know what I mean? Like, and you can design that however you want. I love that. I would love to just have the freedom to show up when I want, leave when I want, whatever life is handling. As long as I'm getting that done, that really is all that should matter, you know?
I agree from a team standpoint because I have two kids that just went through college, and I remember listening to it. Like every time you have a project, let's say you have 5 people on that project, like so 2 of them might be doing all that work. The other 3 are dragging their feet. Now you get into the whole dynamic again of like, if it's project based, then it's dependent on everyone working up to par, and then we have a bunch of free time. But if, John doesn't really give a damn if he has extra days off because he doesn't have much of a social life anyway, and he's not willing to put a whole lot of effort into getting the project done, then you got a big clog in the wheel.
You're right. But I think, and that's where it becomes interesting because I think what comes from that is having people work in their strengths. So if you find the thing that John is motivated to do, then you just give him that and put other people in their strengths so that they're, you know what I mean? Like motivate. Because
Yes.
like for me, if you're going to sit me down and tell me I have to crunch numbers all day, it's going to take me a lot longer because I don't find any joy in that. But if you're like, oh, we'll have her deal with people, great, sign me up. I'll do all the things. So I think that becomes the balancing act there.
I agree. That's kind of the Scrum methodology, which I would never claim to be a Scrum master, but my understanding of Scrum is like that agile type team. But when we're working in the domain that you have strength in, you're kind of leading the team. So if we're in the networking thing, if it has to do with that, Julie's in charge of that part of it. If it has to do with AI, Jason's in charge of that part of it. If it has to do with finance and numbers, John has that part. Like he's given the mandates, he's in charge. And so you don't really have anyone who's overall. You do have a Scrum Master who kind of herds the cats, but in general, it just depends on what work you're doing and who the subject matter expert is, and they're kind of the leader of the group at that point in time, which I think makes all kinds of sense. But everything we just talked about goes back to the people who are ambitious, who are lifetime learners, are going to be the 30% who do all the work 5 years from now, and all the lazy Johns who don't really want to do a whole lot, AI will replace them.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Wouldn't be surprised.
That's, yeah. Well, I don't want to end on a sad note, but
I know, no, no. We'll circle back to somebody create, like
yes. No, well, how
about
about
these.
Walla? Let's talk about Walla.
Oh
We are going into the third time of Walla Basheri Lifetime Learning Association. I just saw the registration. There's 52 people registered to take this 8 session course. That this will be the third time now. They're all mostly retired people. A lot of them are retired professors or whatever. This organization has like free education in the spring and the fall, everything from like Jewish studies to underwater basket weaving to there's one on 12 steps this time around. I have done the intro to AI twice. This time I changed it to navigating the age of intelligence because things have changed a lot in the last couple of years, and I'm trying to bring a lot of different speakers in besides just me. But it's such a joy to see like this room full of 50 people who are. I thought they'd be real argumentative and like anti AI. They're not. They just don't want the bullshit that they hear in the news. They want to know like how is this impacting my life? How can I use it in an effective way? And realistically, how can I expect this to impact my community in the next,
Mm,
12 to 24 months? And
yeah.
so it's a very interesting conversation.
And maybe those are the people I need to talk to about the robots and the communication for the facilities, because they're a little bit closer to that than I am if life plays out how it should. You know what I mean? So maybe they'd have some insight for me.
I think you need to grab Bree and go and talk to them and pitch your ideas and get some feedback. I'd love that.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about it, that seems like, a good audience for that kind of conversation.
Record it, and we'll put together a pitch. And next thing you know, we'll be in front of venture capitalists, and you'll be kicking off a company.
I've got a startup, ladies and gentlemen.
Wouldn't it be funny if the like AI over enthusiast who's doing a podcast with the originally AI skeptic, and she ends up being the one that launches a multi-billion-dollar AI startup.
That would
That
be wild.
poetic justice. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I better be a shareholder, but other than that, I would
Yeah.
love it.
Fair enough. I have to get you. You have to talk to the right people. Michael Berger even said that. He's like, it's all about talking to the right people, and that's how it all kind of comes together. So you just never know.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah, I would just love to see some good change happen in that space.
Definitely. Well, let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely.
It's always good to talk to you, Julie.
Thank you, Jason.
Have a great week.